Welcome to the second video in the series of answering questions on a foundational Catholic theology paper that may perhaps be a little bit more tricky or a little less straightforward than some that we've seen in previous years. We're going to look now at one of the 5-mark questions, one of the describe answers. Now, again, within the exam board and within past papers, it's more likely than not that one of these questions is going to focus on Christian art, either the Tree of Life or Michelangelo's Creation of Adam. However, there are a range of questions that could be asked based on the specification that may cause students to have some issues and for the questions to not necessarily be straightforward. So we are going to look today at this question. So describe a humanist view on sanctity of life. Obviously, we have to study both the Catholic view, the Jewish view, other Christians, and humanist and atheist views. And although the humanist and atheist views are more often than not required for the evaluation questions, they can be asked for within a described question. So if we look at this question just initially, before I reveal my answer, if I got this question in the exam, potentially I would panic a little bit because I would think, well, what do humanists think? Particularly because humanists don't believe in sanctity of life, because sanctity of life is a Catholic idea. So initially, you might go down the line of answering this by going, well, humanists don't believe in sanctity of life because they are not religious, and it just becomes an answer where you're saying what humanists don't believe rather than what it is that they do believe. And if you do the kind of humanists don't believe X, Y, and Z, you're not necessarily going to get the most out of your answer. So if we look at my model answer here, again, humanists reject the idea of God and instead think life only has value once it is fully formed. So I'm saying here very clearly that they do reject that idea of sanctity of life, but that they still think it has value. So I'm not just saying that they don't believe in sanctity of life. I'm saying, well, they reject the idea of God, so they're not going to talk about sanctity of life. They're going to think about the value of life, and that being when life is fully formed. So in this case, I've made that clear to the examiner that that's when a child is born. And think all decisions about human life should promote choice and freedom. So I'm not turning this into an abortion question. I'm not turning this into a kind of an explain question. I'm just saying, well, this is what they think of sanctity of life. Then for the second paragraph, I'm bringing in that key term relativist, because that is what a humanist is, and that they believe that you should be free to choose an action which increases your quality of life. So they aren't going to think about sanctity of life, but they are going to think about quality of life. So again, rather than just negation of sanctity of life, I'm talking about what it is that they do believe, which is the quality of life. Again, giving an example there that they are pro-choice. But again, I'm restricting myself, and I'm not being tempted to turn this into an abortion explain question, because ultimately it's not what's been asked for, and it's not going to get me any more marks. If anything, it's going to take me away from the question focus, and ultimately I'm going to waste time, which is going to impact me further down the line in the paper.